Hey, welcome back to Engineers Workshop. I'm here between the Tool and Cutter Grinder and the K&T because I'm going to be doing work for the Tool and Cutter Grinder on the K&T. So we're going to be working on the centers and the quill stop. A couple other things with the actual spindle extensions on the Cincinnati, and maybe a quick intermission with some battery maintenance on the lift-aloft. But let's just jump right into it. Let's work on the quill stop first over at the lathe. Okay, I've got my 5/8 bar stock in the lathe. I decided I'm going to make all four of those quill stops. It's going to be just as easy to make the top ones tall enough to stand proud of the casting. So face this off, spot it, center drill it for clearance. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make the scallop in the first one before I part it off, and that way I'll know how tall I need to make them. And then I'll duplicate that for the other center, and then I will make the bottom ones. Next operation will be in a collet block on the K&T. I have a square collet block in the vise. You got to be careful because this is actually flared here. You can't push this in any further, and that starts to ride up onto the jaws. But basically I took a 1, 2, 3 block, and I'm setting the projection of the actual workpiece to be consistent, so I can just touch off with my cutter on the end and on the side, establish the center of the arc, and then swing that arc. Don't have a lot of clearance, but I'll make it work. Okay, I've got my 3/8 cutter zeroed on the face of this and also on the same axis as the stop rod. In order to swing my arc and make my little scallop here, I need to move the center of the machine 930 thousandths this way and 0723 this way. So there's the 930. So 0725 is the closest I can get. And then I have to swing a 3/4 inch radius. Now I have to do that by accounting for the diameter of the cutter. I have to swing a radius of 0.5625. Now there it is, and I think I will be able to swing that without touching my collet nut. Okay, I'm going to be very carefully watching this as I swing this radius. Just dialing the rotation by hand. And the cut should get easier as I progress around. I'm hogging less material. And there we have it. Looks right. We'll do a test fit, and then we'll part it off on the lathe. Okay, you can see the difference in a scallop versus just a little chop. There it is. And you can see I need to be about, I'd say 90 thousandths taller than the original to let that stand proud. So let's part that off. Apparently I'm not deep enough with my pilot drill. Here we are. For the bottom quill stop piece, which is threaded, I am doing about a 1/2 inch of clearance, and then the bottom half of the hole will have threads. So this is a tap drill diameter, I think it's 207 or something like that for a 1/4 20. First 1/2 inch of the hole is clearance. Back at the K&T, I'm going to try with the head on the lowest RPM to swing this cut under power. Last operation will be very careful tapping of this. We'll see how I can do without breaking a 1/4 20 tap. If I just let go of this, it should just swing freely. It's kind of nice because that pilot hole guides this pretty well. Okay, so we have a threaded bottom piece, which is relieved about 1/2 its depth, a top piece, and the original. So we load the top piece in, making sure that the scallop is oriented correctly. It sits proud of the surface. And I have these really nice little oil-light thrust washers from McMaster. So that will give me a dissimilar metal contact patch between these. And I believe I'm going to have to loosen this to load this other one in there. From the bottom. Sorry, there's not much I can do to let you see this. Might have to push it down from the top. Let's do that. Difficult to see, but you can see that the scallop matches the bore. See if I can get it to clamp up. Well, that really locks up nice. Doesn't take hardly any rotation to lock it. I'm going to do some checks on my batteries for the lift. The performance has been subpar. I mean, I knew that when I bought it, but I suspect that they've not been maintained, you know, the water level kept up like they're supposed to. So let's have a good look at all of the water levels of the batteries and see where we're at. And if this is any indication of how much I'm going to be adding, I am going to need more than 2 gallons of water. Yeah, there's my indicator that just now came up on the sight glass. That one looks low. So if I've got a few low cells, then that would account for the poor performance, I suppose. That's essentially just as low as the last one. Okay, refill and repeat. Just took the wheel arbor off of my tool and cutter grinder. That goes on that spindle, and this is a right-hand thread. On the opposite end is a taper, and this is all left-hand thread. So what I'm going to do is make an adapter here, an extension, out of a left-hand thread coupling nut. Thank you, McMaster, for having something. Left-hand thread socket head cap screw to hold this on. This is a wheel arbor for this side. Just has the taper and then a through hole. So I've got to make the OD of the left-hand thread coupling nut small enough to go through that through hole with a little bit of clearance. On this end, the through hole is a little small, so I either have to open it up until that cap screw will fit, and that will fit inside, or I'm going to have to make an insert here, probably thread it in, and then center drill and tap it with a small enough, it looks like maybe a 3/8 would go in there, and then that'll hold that arbor in place. To do this on the lathe, I'm going to chuck this up basically all the way in, and then put a 60-degree, just a little bit of a lead in here so I can put that in the live center of the tailstock, do that at both ends. Then I can re-chuck this, letting most of it stick out to be able to turn the OD. I already have my compound at 30 degrees. I'm hoping my boring bar can do what I'm asking it to do. Have enough clearance to do it. It should. It's going to be close. Because of clearances and the fact that I don't have a whole lot of tool holders, I got to use a chamfering tool to make this cut. Pull everything back and do a test fit. Still smaller. There we go. So now if I flip this end for end and just take it down to that same diameter, I'll be good to go. And if I decrease my feed, if I can just take this in one shot. There's still more meat on that than you would think. Might have to deburr that. That did it. Time for a little test of the, not really the grinder, well, I guess the grinder, but the chuck mainly. I am not going to grind the chuck on the tool post, or excuse me, the tool and cutter grinder. I'm going to grind it on the new machine, but I do have the bottom stone flat and attached here, so let's dress this wheel and then just grind a piece of scrap. I suspect this piece is high in the middle. This is broken off end of a brush hog blade and not particularly flat to begin with, but the chuck seems to hold it pretty well. Trying to find a high spot to begin with. There a little bit right there. If you look down here, I have the bumpers set to limit the table travel. I think we found the high spot. piece is moving a bit. Okay, that's good enough to flip over. Just give it a little bit of extra holding there. I'm going to make one last pass back without advancing the wheel, just let it spark out. Maybe two. Surprisingly physical. Backside, I basically just did it until it was, I don't know, 90% cleaned up. Spent a little bit more time on the front. Pretty nice. Well, I hope you enjoyed seeing me do those couple little projects for the tool and cutter grinder. Just have to do another one of these for the other end, and then I can put them back in the shelf for when I will eventually use them for something. I think they're just for doing the long, either tapered reamers or straight multi-flute mills. So neat little project. Try to get back on the abrasive 1.5 surface grinder next week, or possibly after Christmas. Christmas is fast approaching, so we'll see how it goes for getting another video out this year. But if not, hey, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks again for watching and subscribing, and as always, until next time from Engineers Workshop, stay safe.